So the pandemic situation is still developing. I hope all of you are staying at home, stocking up, just trying to avoid as much social contact as possible while the world continues to figure out what to do about all of this. But many of you will know that the current events has resulted in a lot of events getting canceled in the games industry. E3 was canceled, GDC was postponed, a lot of software and hardware manufacturing has been delayed, no doubt will affect the release of, next generation consoles, and we have seen certain games delayed like Outer Worlds Switch port. It's just the world is facing something unprecedented, and everyone's just sort of scrambling to figure things out. And beyond the games industry, you will know that, sports events have been canceled. So NBA, for example, suspended their latest season after Jazz center Rudy Gobert tested positive. And just in general, I'm sure like me, you've been getting all these emails about canceled events and ways that different companies are trying to prevent this pandemic from getting worse, trying to keep their employees safe, so on and so forth. So interesting times. And I hope everyone's safe out there. Now, here's an interesting bit. So with the NBA season suspension, this has actually caused the video game NBA 2K20 to be affected in a rather unexpected way. And I thought it was kind of interesting that this is happening and is reminiscent of something that happened with WWE 2K20. So here's an article from news outlet Kotaku that talks about how the pandemic has broken some of NBA 2K20's simulation, and more specifics on that can be found in this paragraph that reads, "The game has a feature called Start Today in its My League mode, which lets you begin a career based on the current standings and stats of the NBA and take it from there using the actual schedule." So this is a mode that synchronizes with the real-life goings-ons of the real-life NBA. So what happens when that real-life NBA, when that season just shuts down like it recently did? Well, according to the article today, though, if you try and start it, the game keeps trying and failing to simulate some results, then just crashes. This was also something that news outlet Polygon reported, stating that a Reset Era user first noted, and we have verified, that lacking any real-life games on the schedule for the near future, the mode simulation chugs along endlessly until the game crashes back to the console's dashboard. The problem affects My League only. NBA Today can also be used to play one-off games involving the current day. The 5 games that were originally scheduled for tonight are still available to play. But that aside, if you try to engage with the game in a way that it keeps track of the real-life goings-ons of the NBA, the game just doesn't know what to do because it didn't account for the fact that the NBA season would shut down due to an unprecedented pandemic that has kind of gripped the world and disrupted its many functions. And then here we have the account of a Reset Era user who reported this: "With the NBA suspending the season indefinitely, I was curious as to what would happen to its NBA Today mode, a mode which enables you to start your franchise mode from the current real-life day. Much like WWE 2K20 on January 1st, 2020, 2K Sports once again finds a way to break its game. If you launch a new NBA Today, the game will endlessly simulate until it crashes with an error code." Now, a couple users did note that this does make sense, given that there is no way the mode's programmers accounted for a mid-season suspension, since it's such an unlikely scenario to ever happen. They're probably facepalming right now, the ongoing pandemic giving them additional potentially difficult technical problems to solve. And then another user jokingly said, "Well, that does seem like an accurate simulation of what's going on with the NBA right now." So there is that. Now, for those wondering why there's mention of WWE 2K20, well, you may recall that when the new year started back in January 1st, 2020, a lot of people found out that when they booted up WWE 2K20 and tried to play many of its modes, a lot of them just stopped working due to a bug that was very much in the style of Y2K, and it's something that people have dubbed Y2K20. So here's a Kotaku report on that. The relevant portion reads, according to multiple reports from Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube, many people are unable to play the game now that it's 2020. Instead of working, the game just crashes when selecting most game modes, including online and career. Here's a video from YouTuber New Legacy Inc. showing the bug in action. It looks something like this.
Wow, it's almost the new year. I really should go and play the new WWE 2K20 tower so I can get New Year's Ricochet, so I can be prepared for the new year. All right, let's go do that. Fuck!
So yeah, that kind of goes on for a number of these modes. He just kind of keeps doing the same gag. And yeah, it was kind of something that 2K was ridiculed for, given that this is something they could have accounted for. And WWE 2K20 was a game that shipped completely broken. It is just a step back on so many levels, both in terms of gameplay elements as well as technical elements. The game ships so buggy and broken and unpolished, and it feels very much like an unfinished game. And that's kind of been traditional now with a lot of 2K games, particularly 2K sports games. And NBA 2K20 was also among those titles that launched in a really broken state. There was plenty of outrage surrounding 2K20, NBA 2K20 when that game first launched. And so yeah, this whole Y2K20 bug with WWE was emblematic of the current state of just 2K sports games, where they're just kind of half-assing it now. They're not giving developers enough time to really implement a bunch of new features to really take these games to the next level. They're just doing these annual releases for the sake of monetization, to have people spend, $60 on what is essentially the same game as last year, or in some cases, in the case of 2K20, a version of the game that's somehow worse than its predecessors, and that is just so technically flawed. The existence of this Y2K20 bug in WWE 2K20 just kind of made people shake their heads and kind of deem this as almost normal, like not surprising given the state of a lot of these 2K sports titles, the way they've launched. Now, with NBA 2K20, I think this situation is a bit more understandable, where, this is something nobody could have accounted for, given that nobody could have predicted that NBA would shut down in 2020. Even though we can lambast NBA 2K20 for its broken launch, even though we can kind of give the 2K franchise a whole lot of flack for what's become a very lazy IP with these cash grab releases that only aim to wipe the slate clean so that they can monetize players again by having them rebuy all the microtransaction stuff. This bug in particular, I sort of understand why this happened. Now, 2K Sports did eventually respond to this whole situation. They quickly became aware of it. And in a statement published on March 16th, they said, NBA 2K20 is a leading sports simulation, and our objective is to authentically reflect the realities of the NBA. The suspension of play had an unintended effect on the My League Start Today mode. The issue has since been resolved. Now, users who engage Start Today mode will pick up where the NBA schedule left off on March 11th to play out the NBA regular season as originally scheduled. So they did solve this pretty quickly, and it isn't the biggest deal in the world, and most people do seem to understand why this happened and aren't giving NBA 2K20 too much flack for this. So at the same time, people have this attitude of course this would happen to NBA 2K20 of all titles, given the buggy nature of this title's launch and given just the half-assed nature of a lot of the 2K sports games in recent months and years. But these are unprecedented times. People are having to adapt in ways that they never foresaw. And so it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of normal at this point to see a 2K sports game break in some way or released in a broken state. But this is definitely a more unique situation that, I don't know, I just thought was interesting and worth highlighting. But yeah, there you have it, folks. This is the information you need to know about what happened with NBA 2K20 due to what happened with real-life NBA from the pandemic that led to the latest season shutting down. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on this situation. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone's okay. And, don't panic. Just be smart. And just we'll see this through, right? So drop a comment below. I hope you get to enjoy some videos while you're locked in at home. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.